Hey crafters, welcome to Paulette's Pretty Paper Crafts. It is time for June 2016 name tags. I get my name tags at Wal-mart Super Center. You can get the vinyls and the clips for around $4. I've cut my little pieces of cardstock at 2.5 by 3 1/4, and that's what fits in my little name badges, and you can trim yours to the size that fits inside yours. I'm going to use this little Martha Stewart crab punch. I add him to just about every nautical thing that I do. Let's cuss and discuss. In my mind's eye, I thought I wanted to use this flip-flop die with this Simon Says Stamp Happy and Smiles stamp set. As I'm laying this out on my little card, my flip-flops are too big in scale with my son. So I could use a stamp instead, but I really wanted to kind of use some die cuts. So if you don't have punches, you can use stamps and cut them out, or you can use some die cuts. I'm going to also use these Impression Obsession mini shell dies, and I've cut them in the same cardstock, heavyweight cream cardstock by the Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. They really cut better in watercolor paper and you get all those little impressions, but that's okay. I've already colored some up and we'll do a little bit of coloring with those in a minute. I've also cut a Spellbinders Standard Circles Large. I cut the largest one in red for my mat and the next size down for my base. I'm starting with a dark R59 for the body of one crab, and I'm going to use RV55 for the body of another crab, just to show that you can do them with what you have. I like to punch front of cardstock to front of the punch, but I like to look through the back. So I'm using the Tuxedo Black by Bic to dot in my little eyes on the crab. And then I'm going to use the Rambunctious Red by Bic to color in those little marks on the top of the body. For my darker crab, I'm going to use the Copic R59, and then also add some little dots. No two crabs are alike, so you could just do whatever you want, and I'm going to use some RV66 to do the little dots on my girl crab and on her legs too. And I think I'm going to go ahead and outline her pinchers with this color too while I've got it out. And I'm going to add a little swoosh and a dot, and then just a little dot on the other small pincher. And then for my darker crab, I'm going to use the R59. I think that any of these little details just add depth and dimension. So I'm adding some little dots to the legs for the little joints in the legs, or the little knuckles. And that makes a very cute crab. Here are some that I've added glossy accents to the eyes and the pinchers, and then I used the crackle accents to the backs. And that's pretty fun. Those products are both by Ranger. I'm going to stamp my little sunshine in some Daffodil Delight from Stampin'UP. And I didn't get a really good impression on my circle die cut, so I'm just going to ink the bottom portion of the sun and see if I can hit the mark. And I did not, but that's okay. We are rolling on. I'm going to use some Pixie Pink for the sunshine's mouth, and I really think that probably this is easier if you stamp the mouth first and then stamp the sunshine over it, but I never remember to do that, so I'm going to patch that up with some Y17 Copic marker, and you'll never know that I missed the spot. And then this sun on the round die cut did not get a full impression there, kind of in the chin area, so I just patched that up as well. And this little sunshine has some really cute eyes. I'm stamping them in Memento because I didn't know if I wanted to add some more Copic marker dimension over these or not. So just to be on the safe side. And this is a little dot that I created from, I want to say photopolymer. Perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't. It was the extra margin around a Provocraft stamp that I pulled off the stamp because I kept getting it in ink. And I used my Crocodile to punch those little cheeks out on the largest hole punch setting. I've got some brown cardstock that I'm going to use as sand. This is some color Bach. And I'm just going to hand cut it to get my little hill of sand. And I can actually get 2 for this smaller card. And had I thought ahead of time, I could have used the circle dies, but that's okay. I'll just hand trim it. Now I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to use the card I'm gluing it to as the gauge of where to put my glue. This helps me conserve glue and not waste any. And then I'm going to turn the little cards over and put them right where the glue is. Line it up a little bit. And now I can trim off the excess with my scissors. I'm going to use the Bic Honey Brown and just scribble on some marks in my sand. It absolutely does not matter what this is. I'm going to be gluing die cuts over it. But any little details you want to add just help the overall scene. I'm going to grab some browns here and put in my my little sea grasses. And this is E70. Heavier on one side and lighter on the other. And kind of crisscrossing over each other. And then I'm going to use some E99 on top of that, not exactly on top of it, just off a little bit so that I have like the grasses and then the shadow of the grasses behind. Okay. So you can already see we're looking pretty good. We can lay these die cuts on here and get a better vision. And I'm feeling like my sand dollar is really just too much the same color as my background. So just playing around here, and I like that better. And I'm going to end up using this green sand dollar. Did you know that when they're alive, they're green? It's when they're dead that they're white and bleach out like a shell. So let's color some of these little die cuts. I'm starting with some BV13 on my starfish, and I'm going to let him dry a little bit. And then I'm going to start with some RV55 for the inside of my conch shell. And then I think I'm going to do B32 as my base. This is what I did on that little blue shell that's already done. And then grab this kind of teal looking Sharpie and add some of these more defined lines just according to the impressions that the die made. And I'm going to take this fine point brown Sharpie and start adding in some details here. Now, if you watched me color the large starfish die, this is just the very same principle. I'm going to use some B16 and add in these details that are already on the die, but you can't see them now that I've added color. And I'm going to add some B14 just for some more texture. Adding a few little dots there. And I'm going to use this white gel pen. This one's by Ranger. And it's actually working. I don't have good luck with the Signo gel pens. And that just brightened that right back up. So I'm going to start filling in this conch shell. I like to use the Y26 for some of that. It's not kind of a nice goldy color. And then E70. A lot of times I'll start with the E70 as my base, but you can always go back and add in. And here's some E35. And then for my little blue shell, I'm adding some B14. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate RV55 just like I did the other one that's already done. Shells can be any color that you want, really. You can find them in all different colors. So now let's start gluing some stuff down. I am using Glossy Accents on my whole project because it is archival safe, which means it's not going to bleach the cardstock. Glue that is not archival safe will bleach your cardstock or your papers. And did you see I had too much glue on the back of that starfish or that crab, so I just shared the glue between my die cuts. I do that often. Instead of wiping it off, I just kiss the back of the die cuts together and waste not, want not. And tuck in this last little sand dollar. And don't forget to sign or stamp your name on your little creations. And let's create a card. I've got this light blue card base, and I was thinking I would use it as a top folding card, but I'm really sensing that it needs to be a side fold. So that's what I'm going to do. And glue all these down. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tag and card for June. I'm going to throw some Glossy Accents on this shell. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day.